Well, I'm here with my friend Suzanne. Hi, Suzanne.
Hey, Scott.
To give you a word that I think we need to rally around, and the word is gather. It's gather. And I reckon it's something we want to focus our energies upon this term. Can I explain why that is? You might remember when our city first moved into a lockdown-like arrangement in March, St Matthew's quickly pivoted to online church because we had to. And as a church community, we adapted to that quickly as well. It was something new and fresh and, let's be honest, quite convenient. I could do church in my pyjamas while eating pancakes, even for the 5 p.m. service. And many of us really enjoyed that for a time, the time that we were in lockdown. But that time has passed now, and we're allowed to move about more freely, although we still have to be careful. Most of us have gone back to school or university or work for a few days a week at least. Now, God willing, we won't have to go back to lockdown or even harsher restrictions like in Melbourne. And we're still not allowed to go back to church as normal, but you'd have to admit that we've moved on from the earlier lockdown phase, and so we kind of find ourselves in an in-between stage. And that means that we also need to move on and move forward with new opportunities for gathering, even though the pancakes and pyjamas was really quite fun for a bit. Well, because we can't go back to how we operated as a church before COVID, we're going to need to refresh or recalibrate, certainly reorganise ourselves for this in-between kind of phase. Now, Suzanne, you've got a few ideas about how we might be able to go about that.
Oh, absolutely. So we've come up with 3 ways that we are suggesting that you think about gathering. The first one is called, or what we call 1+1. Now, if you live alone or you're the only Christian in your household, could you have a go at gathering with one other Christian? Could you maybe invite one other believer over to your place to join in church at the designated time? And then afterwards you could just chat and pray for each other afterwards and, just enjoy church together. So that's 1+1. Sounds pretty great, right? Second way we're thinking of is what we call gather in gangs.
Ooh.
Now, perhaps you could gather in a gang. Maybe your household of 4 could invite another household of 4 over for church together. You could also invite a couple of single people who want to join in. You could sing together and set the kids up for kids' church online if you need to, and have some fellowship afterwards. Now, if you've been called a boomer recently, it probably means you have teenagers in the house. Now, maybe you'd like to host one of the youth small groups around at your place on a Sunday afternoon. Like, seriously, what an honor it would be to have a group of teenagers gathering as God's people at your place, right? Maybe your growth group could gather in a gang for Sunday worship, as well as midweek study, of course. If you wanted to have snacks or a meal together, you could, but you don't have to. There are seriously no rules around this. Just do whatever works so that you can gather in a gang together. The third way is the watch and worship sessions. So this term our church is open 3 times on a Sunday for watch and worship. So if it's difficult to gather in a gang, or even 1+1, you could come down to church for a watch and worship session. You'll need to be healthy, of course, and you've got to wear a mask when you're here. Most people who have come down have been surprised at how warm these sessions have been. They've been better than I thought, I promise you. They're just warm and lovely, lovely together with others in the house of the Lord. And here's another thought. If you have really small children, which makes it difficult to watch church online, even difficult to engage them with the online kids' church, how about you take turns to come down and join in the watch and worship sessions? Mum 1 week and Dad the next. That could work. What we're going to do now is hear from some of our regulars about their experience of gathering in recent times and some of the ways we've just mentioned.
When church first went online, there was novelty in sitting down together with cups of tea and the dog. But when the watch and worship session started, I was ready to meet with everyone again. It felt strange at first, but then I thought about all the ways that God's people had come together over the centuries, and that this was what church looked like for now. I go every week to be encouraged and to catch up with whoever is there.
It has been great to have other families over when we can to watch church together, which has also allowed us to worship together, pray together, and share dinner together, which has been fantastic.
It's been a massive encouragement to get back into fellowship. I really missed being together. Sundays are a time that I really look forward to again.
Since we've been allowed to, we've had people around to our place to do church together from time to time. When we've made it work, the fellowship has been so great.
Even though church doesn't still quite feel the same, it's been super encouraging getting to go down each Sunday to the watch and worship and connect face to face with my church family. It's also been really cool and refreshing to hear the worship music belting out through the corso again.
So 1+1, gather in a gang, watch and worship. 3 suggestions for how we can gather as the people of God in new ways. If you can host people at your place, it'd be good to share that around and have different folks over on different weeks. And if you're happy to host people at your place, but you don't know who to invite, well, let us know via the online connection card and we can give you some suggestions. If you can't host people, but you're looking for a place to go, you can let us know that as well via the online connection card. Of course, it's going to require some effort on our parts to gather in new and fresh ways, and it may well be less convenient. But convenience has never been one of the organising principles for the Christian disciple or church life. And besides, there is just something about gathering, even if it's with one other person, that makes church church. I mean, before COVID, we'd never have said, look, just watch a YouTube video sometime during the week and that counts for church. There really is something about gathering, even if it's with one other person, that changes our experience of church, which actually gives expression to what church is, the people of God meeting as the people of God. With one other person, you can pray together. With one other person, you can have an encouraging conversation. With one other person, you're much less likely to scroll through your phone during the sermon or announcements. With one other person, you're more likely to engage in worship. With just one other person, there are small but significant opportunities to serve each other. So it's totally worth gathering, even if with just one other person. And so, friends, we really think the word for this term is gather. It always has been key for Christians, and personally, I'm looking forward to working out how to gather in fresh ways.